Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for joining this live session here. And I'm the project manager of the team Hypernix, participant of F1 in Schools, Abu Dhabi. And along with me, I have my team, the team leader, Adnan Muhammad, and my other fellow members, Madhav Ragesh, Saquib Manzar, Devapriya, and Hemendra. And also, I would like to introduce our panelists for today, Mr. Sanket, currently in National Institute of Design, pursuing his master's. Um, yes, we request you to take up the role of panelist for today. Now we have Mr. Pranav Kiran. He was a former F1 in school participant himself, the team leader of Team Ignis. We also request you to take up today's panelist role. So these are our two most experienced members who have great idea in designing, from merchandise branding to even the car and various other departments which are experienced people will require. Also, it will help all of us to understand what steps to be taken in your F1 in schools journey. So let's start off. First, I'll request Mr. Sanket to start off with his question.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to be the panelist for this today's discussions. And I once again greet you all. Before going ahead, I am again thankful to you all for like creating this platform for discussion and letting me join you all for this. So before I go into the questionnaire, I must congratulate you all first for doing such a great job at such a uh, maybe for me it's a very small age, and I wish you all the best for that. So before making it late, I would want to start my questionnaire with the very first question to all of you. Like, uh, right now, you gave your information about the team, but I would want to know the team in detail and can you just introduce the team and the name and then how it was formed? So, yeah, over to you.
Absolutely. So, my name is Adnan, and I'm the team leader of Team Hypernix. The other team members are Ayush, the project manager, Hemendra, the head of manufacturing, Madhav, the head of graphic designing, Devapriya, the head of finances, and Saquib, who's the head of engineering. When you ask how Hypernix was formed, I would say it was a passion project. When we heard about the competition F1 in schools, it was very interesting just to even look at. I mean, to make a business just like an F1 team, ask for sponsorships, design and engineer our own car, create branding, merch, and design. It was very interesting to all of us. So we came together, banded together, and created the team Hypernix.
Great. That was quite a power packed and good introduction of the team. Um, Following this, Siddharth, I would like to ask about like what inspired you to participate in the F1 school racing competition, and how did the idea came up?
Okay, so I think I'll answer this question. Personally, I think um, all of us we're huge F1 fans. We've been watching this sport since a very young age, and I think that is a big reason as to why we've decided to participate in the competition. And yeah,
Okay. Are we having the alternate questions from the other panelists?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sure.
I'll Yeah, as Sanket told, thanks for inviting me here to, you know, ask the budding new F1 in school participants. I also participated in F1 school, as you have said, Ayush, last year for the year 2023 to 2024 as part of Team Ignis. Um, and it was a great experience, especially this project. I think you learn a lot from it. More so on stuff that's not necessarily taught in schools. And like Sanket told, this is really a nice project for you guys to work on. Um, yeah, it's fascinating to see younger guys or you kids also participating in this competition. Now your team name is Hypernix, and that got me thinking. Why did you come up with Hypernix as your team name? And maybe are qualities from the name attached to the work that you do as well, that are reflected in your work?
Yeah, I'll answer this question. So, actually, on the team name Hyphenix, we had a lot of options, and we spent a bit longer than we'd like to actually decide on the name. But eventually, we finalized on Hyphenix, which is actually a combination of two words, hyper and pernix. Now, pernix is a Latin word which means quick, swift, or agile, while hyper, of course, means energetic, and it could also mean beyond, as in hypersonic, beyond the speed of sound. Now, when you put those two words together, you get something like quick and energetic or beyond swiftness. Now, as for the qualities reflected, as reflected in the team name, we would bring enthusiasm and energy to the competition.
That's great to know. Thank you. I'll just ask one more question and then I can hand it over to Sanket. Um, I think this is more so for the team manager or anyone. Um, I'm pretty sure there are certain deliverables that's you're supposed to present. There's certain outputs in your project. So, what are your project deliverables? What are you outputting, and what do you think determines the quality of your deliverables?
So obviously for the competition F1 in schools, our primary deliverable would be the car that we design. Now, how do you determine the quality of the car? It it's basically when you look at the weight, the drag coefficient, and other factors that ultimately determine the car speed and its track time. That is a primary quality that we look at a car. Other factors can include the quality of the materials that we use, especially for the front wing, rear wing, and the wheels. Then the center of mass and the weight distribution of the car, which ensures the best quality that a car can have. Obviously, bearings and other external things can provide additional value to the quality of the car. Then, other deliverables we promise include the pit display, our portfolios, and of course, merchandise. They will be undergoing strict quality regulations, especially a pit display, which we are planning to do, especially with only with sustainable materials.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, Sanket, you can.
sure, sure. Thanks, Pranav. Well, that was like we used to participate in competitions which were like some science exhibitions kind of thing. I remember back while we were in schools, but that were a kind of not this technical, but I think you guys are really getting up for the competitions in a really good spirit, and I am so happy to see that. Following which, I just have one question in my mind because we were also having teams and other things that coordinations happen. So how do you divide roles among the team members, and how, like, was it based on the skills or interest or something else? So how are the roles divided? Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah. So we divided roles based on skills and interests because if you have skills but you're not really interested in the project, we won't get much like output from every member. So we divided the roles such that each member was giving their fullest and giving their best to the project in the most efficient way. So, for example, Madhav was really, really interested in graphic designing, and he's also a very, very avid F1 fan. Combine those together, skills and interest, and you get a good graphic designer like Madhav. So we try to divide it as efficiently as possible while giving, you know, preferences to each person's interests and skills.
Nice. So you similarly, you might have the entire team that works in coordination. And how do you ensure that there are no quarrels in between or something like the team whenever it comes to the part of team? I think some maybe some small quarrels or something like, no, we don't want to go with this, we don't want to go with that idea. How do you manage that?
Well, we have the main thing we use for decision making, especially in sort of like deciding the logo or the name, is we always have to have a unanimous decision. So everybody has to agree on the same thing. This means there is no majority voting, or one person doesn't like this or the other person. We have to have something where everybody agrees on the same thing before we move forward with a decision. So that's something we do in order to ensure that every person has a say in what the team does.
Nice,
Also,
that's
like
quite impressive.
I would like to add on to that. So the main way that we have formed this team is in such a way that all of the six members in the team have separate interests and separate skills. So the main idea is that every person is given the field that he's most interested in. For example, Madhav, our graphic designer, he is very interested into aesthetics and designing. Has innovation in designing ideas. So he's given that job. So we are not trying to give them a task that they are not interested in. Then that will reduce the productivity. That brings the productivity down. And as well, we are having interdepartmental connections and works as well. So if a person is, for example, struggling in his department, or he's feeling low, down on motivation, then instead of blaming them, we go and support them. So, for example, if anyone is struggling in their department, so is for example in my project management department, then Adnan, the team leader, can come and support me, reduce my stress, help me out. So that type of bonding is really required, and that is why such type of competition are taken out to increase teamwork and to understand. So we are self aware of what we are, how capable we are. We are aware of our peers, how they are capable, and together we complement each other.
Great. Yeah, Pranav, you may go with.
Yeah, that's very good. I think in such a competition for F1 schools, teamwork is very important. And more so, I think it's not also, and I think what you did there was correct, not so more on, whether he has the skills, but also whether he really has the interest, because that I've seen that myself. That does increase your productivity. I'll shift the topic a bit towards the engineering side. Um, Now, this is a miniature F1 car that's going down a 20-meter track, and there's a lot of uh, factors that does affect the car's performance, and that's, I guess, one of the things that you start thinking about, like what this is a small F1 car. What are the various things that I can do to make it go really fast? Um and How do you work towards maximizing that car speed? Is that can the can we get an answer for that?
Definitely. So when you look at the car, it's going to be a very small car, around 20 centimeters in length and 6 centimeters in height and 5 centimeters in width. So it's a very small car. So obviously we have to do the most we can to increase the car speed while making sure that it is actually possible to manufacture a car like that. So the primary thing we focus on is weight, because no matter how well your car is engineered, if your weight isn't up to par, if your weight distribution and the location of your center of mass isn't up to par, the car can destabilize, which will increase the friction on the. There is a thread called the guide, which will kind of increase the friction and reduce the speed of the car. So we have to be very careful about the weight and stick to the weight limit, which is 50 grams. Then we have the materials which the car is made out of. So we can't choose the weight which the car's main body is made, the material the car's main body is made out of, which is polyurethane. However, we're trying to choose the best materials for the front wings, rear wings, and the wheels, which kind of reduces the friction between the wheels and the ground, and of course ensures that the weight is as less as possible. Another key factor is aerodynamics, where we have to make sure that the pressure gradients are as less as possible, which means that the high pressure zones and the difference between the high pressure zones and the low pressure zones are as low as possible. If you have a high difference between the high pressure zone and the low pressure zones, this causes turbulent flow in the car, which again makes the car destabilize and it decreases the speed. So making sure the aerodynamics of the car is engineered very well and that it has a low drag coefficient is very important for ensuring the car is fast.
Yeah, that's great. Aerodynamics, weight, friction. Um, I think one thing you can add also could be the wheel weight as well. Did you mention that? Um,
Yeah, the
because
wheel
I think what
weights
the
are
wheel weight does
included
is,
in the car. Yeah.
yeah, no, because, okay, correct. Yeah, but what I was going to point out was about the wheel. If you do increase the wheel weight, that does increase the wheel's rotational inertia. So the amount of energy that you're putting there will also increase from the canister. So sure, yeah, as you mentioned, the weight is also very important. Um, if Sanket's not here, I can ask one more question.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for the
Yeah,
advice, by the way. Yeah.
you're welcome. Moving on to anything specific about now, sustainability is one important point in F1 in schools that's sort of emphasized as well. Is there any area, maybe from engineering to marketing, that you've sort of emphasized on sustainability?
I mean, of course, because sustainability is one of the key criteria of the project, and there is a lot of points going into sustainability.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we try to make sustainability one of the primary goals of our team. Firstly, we're focusing on using purely biodegradable materials for the car and using as less like non-sustainable processes in the production and creation of our car as much as possible. Another key factor we're doing is making our pit display entirely of sustainable materials instead of the common way people do it. Because I feel like pit displays, a lot of materials are wasted after their use. So we have to use sustainable materials there as well to ensure that sustainability. Other things we are planning to do as well include sustainable drives, which we'll be partnering with other companies and conducting sustainable drives. So maybe even from our school and Bhavan's partnering with our school's own nature's club as well.
Sure. Yeah. Um, Sanket, you had left the meeting, I think, by mistake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a quite small disconnect in the network. So yeah, I hope the engineering part was going on, and so on that, I would like to ask my next question, which was like, what were the initial concept of your cart, and how did you evolve over the time with the design and other aspects that you
Yeah,
decided?
so I think I'll be answering that question. So in the beginning, we first created a very bare minimum first prototype, the typical F1 school's car, which consisted of a rocket body, the CO2 canisters, side pods, front wings, rear wings, tether guide, all those different things. And most importantly, the virtual cargo, a space to accommodate the virtual cargo, which is quite a crucial rule of the F1 schools competition. Now that we had a blank template to work upon, we started researching different ideas and different aspects which we could add into our cars. First thing we did was to look into the previous year's winning cars. We saw different cars over the years which were winning, and we tried to compare these cars and try to understand what exactly which different aspects made these cars stand out from their competitors. And then we try to see which features between these cars stayed consistent throughout the years, and we try to see if we could employ those same techniques and aspects into our own car. And following this we did, we also try to innovate upon those ideas. Next thing we did was to understand the exact physics of what's happening around our car. So all the airflow which is happening around the car, we try to see the different physical phenomenon of how we could use it, or how we could minimize the negative effects which it is doing, such as the Magnus effect done by the rolling of the wheels, the Bernoulli's principle, and the wake, the turbulent air created by the car. Then we try to streamline the rocket body. The car's front area, the rocket body, was streamlined to allow the air to pass smoothly, to glide smoothly over the car, which again would reduce the amount of drag. And the final thing which we did was, which is very intuitive, is to reduce the frontal surface area. If there's a less frontal surface area, of course, less air will be hitting the car, and again, that'll create less drag. And the final and the most final step was to again remove the sharp edges from the car. So as you know, we'll be CNC manufacturing the car, and those type of machines cannot really manufacture sharp edges. So smoothing over the edges was the final step in creating the prototype. We are still yet due to perform physical tests, but again, we have tested this on CFD software and done various tests in the car to help the manufacturing process and understand the engineering. That's about it.
Great. Uh, this is amazing. I mean, I can see the kind of words that you are using. I mean, the the such words are used in mostly maybe the engineering classes and maybe some design classes which deals with some aerodynamics engineering or something like coming up with a design that shapes and that assists your maybe the speed and other things, the physiological and other factors. So great. And on the same line, I would like to just add one more thing. Like, do you had the specific calculations of how does the physical thing works, the weight and the material and speed, and do like I can see that
So
you're prepared with that. Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
what there's a process in this that is to create that is to excuse me, I'm just getting a call here.
I'll answer that question. So we primarily calculated the drag force of the car and the drag coefficient of the car, which is the main which is the main thing that determines how fast and how less energy the car uses while traveling through the track. So that is the main thing we focus on, reducing the drag coefficient as much as possible. Then, of course, the distribution of the weight and the center of mass, which is very crucial for losing as less energy as possible from the gas canister. So we try to place the center of mass in front in the thrust plane of the gas canister as much as possible. So that is also a very key part of ensuring a car speed. Obviously, the frictional forces between the car and the track were also calculated, and that also plays a very huge role in the speed of the car in the track.
Great.
It's all very
Nice.
great. I think this is sort of stuff you learn in F1 schools, which is I think a great competition to, like not only this is all the, technical knowledge part, learning all the, CFD, convergence plot, your, friction forces, all the sort of forces that happen around. This is the technical part, but more so you learn a lot of important stuff like communication, working as a team, and how to, maximize your efficiency in that aspect of working as a team and getting more out of it. And I think the F1 schools competition really helps you do that, and it's really great for high schoolers. Moving on, I will ask more so on the design of your logo. How did you come up with, your logo, the design, an H symbol with sort of some triangles? And what did you want? What do you want it to signify?
Okay, so I'll answer this question. Um, so regarding the logo, we had a huge number of drafts, and the logo that we have right now, it is the final draft, and you could say that it has two purposes. The first one being, well, on the surface, it does seem like an H, which stands for our name, Hypernix, and the triangles at the side, they sort of signify, they sort of give a speedy feel to the logo, and makes it seem as if it's moving. And the second purpose is, if you look at it from, I mean, it kind of looks like the top view of a racing car, with the wheels, the main body, even the front wing. So yeah, it signifies a racing car as well, a racing car as well.
That's great. That's nice. Oh, any questions, Sanket?
Oh yeah, I'd just
Yeah.
like to add, even the tessellations we had, no, the tessellations were a really unique idea by Madhav, which really shows a lot of technological and futuristic vibe when you look at the logo, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I can completely agree on the additions that you did on the logo, the triangles, and that shows the speed and the fastness and you know, it perfectly blends with the competition's theme as well as your team's enthusiasm and energy that is being reflected into that. And also the addition of the blue gradient that I can see was like amazing. I mean, the final one, which I just had a glimpse on, but I think it's amazing to see that as lot many of your ideas come into play, and then you think of making it to the most uh, exclusive and fastest design that you are making. I think that's great. And I would like to ask, like, what kind of tools or softwares did you use for designing the logo and entire branding that you are trying to achieve?
Okay, so for designing the logo, mostly we used Affinity Designer 2, and that was pretty much it.
Okay, okay. And then
For video softwares also we
how
used
do you go with
DaVinci
that
Resolve.
process? Hmm.
And
Okay.
for running car, numerous programs are required because we really required CFD and other testing simulation software. So the main was Fusion 360. Then we had an ANSYS package completely using Fluent and many more softwares that Adnan, Hemendra, they had a real good experience learning through all those softwares.
So is it from the scratch that you guys learn the software and then work on that, or is it something like you get you're already used to the softwares or something like that?
So for CAD, I think I might have been the only one with a little bit of experience, but not too much. So me, Hemendra, and Saqib had to sit down and learn a lot about CAD. And CFD itself is very tough, especially on the hardware that you have. So you have to have very good hardware to get good results quickly on CFD. So learning that was also a tough job, but we did it. Yeah, me, Hemendra, and Saqib together.
Great, great. Yeah. Pranav, you may cover any questions that you have.
I think I'm done. But
Okay.
if, like, you mentioned some softwares, did you have? Well, personally, I was able to use only Autodesk CFD as my software. CFD, Computational Fluid Dynamics, for just for the viewers. Um, so did you? Because I didn't have enough, enough resources. Did you have enough resources to probably do some other additional software? Maybe use some other
So
software.
primarily, yeah.
Yeah.
If
So,
Hemendra wants it, yeah.
could I take this question? Yeah. So for designing, as mentioned before, we did use Autodesk Fusion 360. But for simulating and testing, we used three different software from ANSYS. We used ANSYS Discovery for the base to see how wind moves around the car and to get a visualization of how the drag coefficient is. But then when we wanted something a bit more higher definition, something to find more smaller observations, we used ANSYS Fluent. And other than that, we also used ANSYS Space Claim, which actually is one of those softwares where like you can modify your car and see how that affects the aerodynamics of it. So with the combination of all those three, we managed to simulate accurately or almost accurately the aerodynamics of the car.
That's great. Yeah. Yes. Sanket, any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like there might be like design that comes ahead, like as if one option, second option. So, how do you validate your designs or prototypes? Like, do you have some stimulations that you run or some physical test that you test, and then how do you go with like prints, like if we say merges and other things? So, how do you test it?
Yeah, so I'll be answering that question. So as Hemendra said, we did use quite a lot of softwares for testing the car. This included ANSYS Fluent, which allowed us to simulate a virtual wind tunnel with speeds of the air going up to 20 meters per second, which quite accurately shows and simulates how F1s in schools cars would be going on the track because they are actually going at around 20 meters per second. So this allowed us to understand the exact airflow. And as I mentioned earlier, we had to study the airflow to understand the specific principles of how the air was affecting the car and the drag coefficient. So these simulation softwares allowed us to understand the airflow out of the car and understand where the air pressure is dropping, where airspeed is dropping, and again, use that information to again iterate on the car and work upon those specific areas where the air is, in basically in a fight with the car, which we don't want. We want it to smoothly glide with the car and again not impact the car as much as possible to reduce the drag coefficient. So we ran multiple tests, a lot of tests actually, and we iterated a lot using the digital softwares. Physical tests, as I mentioned earlier, are still due, and we'll be doing them soon. But we do have a lot of data from the virtual tests itself. That's about it.
Perfect. And one more important question that came into mind was the timeline that you get for this entire competition. So, how do you plan that right at the beginning, or then how did you plan the entire timeline and the iterations and other phase of launching it? Yeah.
Because yeah, I will take up the question because I was a project manager. So yeah, so we formed the team last year around the month of June or July. So on the estimate, we had around a year, around 12 months to prepare the whole process and get through it. So yeah, but before making the project schedule, it took me around a month itself to finalize. Like it took me 1 month to research about what are the different criterias of assessing, how does the effort in schools assess our project, what are the deliverables required. So based on that, a critical path was made, and then the project schedule was made. So the planning was quite direct. We first of all started off with the team initiation. For example, we had initial meetings in the month of July and August, 2 months to finalize the team name and also our team identity, which is always the first step whenever it comes to forming of a team. So we had to design our the theme of our team, and based on that, all the other procedures had to take ahead. So we formed the team name, and the next step was to look up for a logo that matches our ideas completely, having the perfect color combinations and the complete idea that we try to look. So it's not only about the aesthetics or the design or eye catching, the feeling that comes in the logos, but also having the meaning behind that. So that was our next step. From the month of September, we started looking up towards the car because again, that's the major deliverable, and we surely want to start working on the car as soon as possible. So the timeline was completely broken, and in between there were gaps surely for accommodating school examinations and school pressures as well. So the car design was planned as essentially from the start of September and until January, February month. So yeah, and in between we also started the work upon portfolio. Again, portfolio is one of the major criteria when it comes to the assessing. So we started working on a portfolio from the month of December, and also we are planning soon to start working on collecting funds because as a car reaches the final destination, it is essential to have the funds in hand to start making physical models ready and testing whether your planned models are actually reaching to that level or not. If not, again, there has to be refinement taking place and again reprinting. So that will take some time. And the project deadline that I have set for my whole team is the month of May. All the deliverables we are planning to complete it by the month of May and keep it ready, so that if we are not trying to keep it till the end of moment, so that we hurry up, we are trying to keep everything well in advance so that we have enough time to not come under pressure near to the competition. So this is how we have planned our way through the month, and 8 months have passed by of us working together, and there's another 3 to 4 months to go for.
Great, great. Ayush, I think you're the perfect person for this project management, I think, for Hypernix team. And the team might be happy to see you. And then I think all others might be proud if this project goes for the winning entries amongst the one. And I just wanted to ask few of the informal questions because that's what I am interested in apart from this so formal questions. Uh, so if time permits, shall I?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So while into the entire process of let's say 8 to 10 months, like what were the hilarious or unexpected moments or some failures or something like that that you experienced in this journey so far?
Yeah, sure. If you compare my initial project schedule and the project schedule that's running right now, there's a huge gap because obviously, as you plan, it's not 100% going to match, or not even 100, even 75% of the project schedule might not match to what is happening. Because when you start off your project, you have your own idea that okay, I might complete my uniform design by the month of December. But no, maybe sometimes I might start the uniform design by month of December, or probably I am planning to get my sponsors by the month of January. But it's possible that right now I might not even have a sponsor. So the main idea is that you have to be flexible. So the main idea was that the reason why I'm keeping the deadline for May is that even if we do late, if we are late in doing something completing, then probably we can schedule up to 2 weeks even ahead. So it was very flexible. First of all, the car design was deadline was kept very early, so that even if someone is busy due to school exams or anything like that, we can probably postpone for even a month later. So that is them. And if a person is lagging, as I had said, that we do not blame each other, so quarrels are not there. Obviously failures will be there because it's a learning curve again. So every person is new here. Might be one of us might be very experienced, but then again, we all are new to this field. So it's always a learning adventure for every one of us. So whenever it's a learning thing, we always encourage that okay, yeah, it's the first time, come on, there is still time, you will be learning more, there is more ways to learn and advance ahead. You are just building your skills upon whatever you're doing right now. So that's the best way to do it. Supporting each other, that's what teamwork is, finally. So when we look at it, it has been a wonderful journey till now, as I'm saying. So it has been very informative, very learning for us, very collaborative, and yeah.
Nice. I'm happy to hear all of these things and something coming out from the project manager itself. So I think the team is going with a great speed and good spirit actually. And who amongst your team, like you, so far you have worked with a lot of people and a lot of departments individually assigned to everyone. So who in the team is the biggest perfectionist or something like that, and who is most chill and get the works done? So I'd like to appreciate them.
Probably Madhu is the
If I
most
if I
chill
be- if
now
I
that
be
I
honest,
think about it.
if I'm being the most honest, I am the most stressed person in the team because I have to be behind everyone that okay, its deadline is approaching. Try to get your task done before the deadline because as a project manager, I have to keep reminding everyone time to time, every day, twice every week that please work upon this right now. We might have to shut down our task because of school exam next week. So let's get this task done out of everyone. But then, to be honest, if we look at the team, then majority of the team members are very chill. They go about their task without taking much stress upon themselves as well. So that's very smart, to be honest. Or else what people do is that they get disheartened quickly. So I'm very happy with my team members that they actually do not take too much external pressure on them, and also they are very calm about it. They take the tasks actually. When I say they're cool, doesn't mean that they are not dedicated themselves. They're all very dedicated. That is why we are able to, even if we are, as I say this, we are able to progress ahead only because each and everyone has their dedications to the task, or else nothing might be even successful at this point.
Great, great, great. So if you might check the comments, and there are so many positive comments that are coming up that your parents might be so proud of you. And indeed, I think this is the biggest thing that is done by you guys at this age, and I think you should keep it up for further times as well. I would like to know, like, how did you like manage both the things? Like for coming maybe after you, also there might be several participants that may wish to participate in such kind of competitions ahead, and what kind of strategies, like not strategies as such, but what kind of message that you would want to give to those who are there, no matter they win or no matter they lose or something like that. But yeah, what do you want to say on that?
So if I take this question, like F1 in schools is a very, very tough competition. There's a lot of things we have to do in a very less amount of time. So it's not for the faint of heart, to be honest. Um, you have to have a lot of passion and a lot of dedication, and your team members have to have a lot of synergy and chemistry in order to complete it in time and efficiently and with as high quality as possible. But one like advice or message I would give to any future participants is to not delay in getting sponsorships. Sponsors are going to be one of the most important parts of F1 in schools, and it's really crucial and really important to get it as fast as possible. So when you're even before you're making your car, I think future participants should directly be asking for sponsors at the first step itself, because your funding is primarily received from your sponsors. So you should be prioritizing sponsors first. So that's the message I would give to future participants.
Okay. I would conclude with the best wishes for you guys, and I think every one of you, if you want to share some of it from this entire journey of let's say 8 months, whatever you want to share, I think it's open to all the participants here, and if you can just add on to the concluding point. Anyone of you would like to say that how did you enjoy it? And
I mean, it was obviously very fun, collaborating with your team and, spending a lot of time in different departments doing different things, maybe designing a uniform or creating a logo, thinking of a name. It was very fun, to be honest. I had a lot of fun enjoying my team, and I'm sure they feel the same.
great. Thank you. I think thank you, Hypernix team, and for your sharing your journey and also inviting me for being the part of this discussion. I'm so inspired, and I think I am also finding it very interesting for such kind of competitions, because we never had this kinds of opportunity at while we were there in our school times, or maybe um, college times also. But I think the way that you guys are going ahead with the team coordination, with the time coordination, and yet managing your studies and then the other co-curricular activities that's going on in your life, I think something that is making me also proud, and I think it's encouraging me. So I'm really happy and wishing you all the best for the race day, and may your cart fly as on the track as like wheels on fire. And I'm just wishing that you guys get what you deserve. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we still
Thank you
have
so
a
much.
bit of time in hand, so probably we can go for a few more questions ahead if you have any.
Uh, no, well, I'd just like to add also, you guys seem like a very good group of guys. I mean, if everyone's chill here, if the team manager deals or thinks that everyone's chill, I think that's a very good sign. Uh, when I did participate, I had a sort of like opposite reaction. Uh, there were a lot of quarrels. I think those could have been, sort of avoided at times. But I think it's part, it's a learning curve that you have to go through. And being, in good terms with your sort of with your team members is a very good sign that, you would do well. Because like we touched upon it before, if everyone's on board, if you have people who have passion at least, at the very minimum, will, um, you guys will do good. You'll do great. Your productivity will increase. You guys will be able to add on a lot of stuff. Um, so you guys will do great. I believe you also have qualifinals coming up, um, sort of an entry level. So best wishes for that as well. Uh, so before you, I think it's you guys will be giving up portfolios from the entire UAE, like among the entire UAE, you'll be chosen to participate in the national final. So that's very great. If you do go, that's fantastic. If you don't, also that's great. You guys can get another chance to participate. I also one thing I regret is the sort of fights that we had that wasted our time. But I would, if I had the chance, I would participate again, and I think maybe Sanket also would do, as he's inspired by this. It's a very enlightening competition, and I do still feel a sort of pull towards F1. And I'm sure you guys also will sort of be reminiscent of this competition after you're done with it. So it's very fantastic to be part of this journey.
Yeah, and I know that we are at the end segment of this discussion, but as a designer, I was very curious about knowing the like branding of it, the branding part of it, and the logo, and like it seems quite strong in your case. So, how did you approach the design of the team's identity actually? And how did you plan to showcase your brand in the competition beyond the cart itself? I'm excited to know this. If we are not going a bit late, can you just briefly cover this portion in
Yeah,
your?
so I'll answer this question. As far as deciding the team identity was concerned, it was mainly a matter, we spent a lot of time deliberating, but it was mainly a matter of combining our common interests, which wasn't too hard because we are all pretty like minded as far as interests go. And once we were there and we finalized on how we wanted to progress with the project, essentially our main theme is about speed. That is what the competition is about mainly. So we focused on that, and it is quite evident as once you consider the team name and other matters, other parts of our propaganda. And about the logo, as Madhav already stated, it was it was crafted with a lot of time and effort, but we believe that it truly represents who we are as a team and what we stand for. And about our branding, uh, to reach out to an audience, we do have options for merchandise, and we also plan on organizing fundraising campaigns to reach out to an audience. And we have social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, through which we reach out to other people and other students, audiences. And we also connect with companies to establish partnerships. And we do this both online as well as through face to face offline meetings. And yeah, that sounds it.
Great. Yeah, I think that's quite inspiring. I mean, I'm just mind blown because the way that you guys are heading up, and the comments that I'm seeing live is like something someone is commenting like like their parents, and they want their kids to be into it, and they're very inspired and all of this thing. You must read into it, and it might encourage you to like stay on your toes till the time your competition day comes. So yeah, I think we can move on to the end segment if you want. Yeah, Ayush and someone else.
All the way through, even I feel curious a few times. So, Sanket, as you are a experienced graphic designer, pursuing masters in design. So, what do you feel are the key pillars of designing, like when it comes to actually making your brand or publicizing it? The way you show it to the public, the audience, when you make a merchandise. What do you keep in your mind while going through the whole process of designing as a whole?
See, I think uh, the first thing that comes to my mind also while I design something, it has to be from your heart, and it has to be from your brain, and like both has to be synced together. I mean, there are a lot of instances where you feel like let's just do it for doing, and let's not get into it completely. So if you are working from your bottom of your heart, and like with your full strength and your full let's say dedication, the design comes with that intensity. And when you are pitching that to some sponsors, maybe if you are like showcasing that as a concept to someone, it already doesn't need any kind of pre-preparation to, or a let's say a lot of efforts to tell that why is this worth, and why is this that you should go with. I think the entire process while designing, uh, if you're designing with a dedicated mind and heart, I think that comes very naturally to whoever you are pitching to and whoever you are showcasing to. So that's the first principle that I keep in mind. So whatever you design, being a designer, a lot of responsibility is there on your shoulders, because the design is the key element that gives the identity to any brand, or let's say any uh, company. And that was the first thing that comes to the notice of the people, and that shouts out loudly that okay, this is what we are. So that's why I was quite impressed with the addition that you did into the logo, let's say that cart, and then H, which is the initial, and then again the blue the shade, the gradient that you added. I think this is what small additions and iterations that keep on adding throughout the process. So you should not initially finalize the option that comes to your mind, but yes, in terms of design, you need some kind of perspectives. Maybe once you do something, maybe after 2 or 3 days, when you look at it, you should look at it in a different angle, like how it would go with the merches, how it would go with the stamps, how it would go on the books and the backgrounds and the PPTs and whatnot. So if you have done it with all of these factors, identifying all of these factors, the design itself comes out and itself speaks. You need not speak about it. So that's what I follow. So you are given some deadlines maybe to complete that task, so utilize it properly and do it from the bottom of your heart. So my rule is that I deliver a bit late, but not bit late in terms of but the satisfaction that comes to me first is what I believe is the key thing in design. You cannot put on the barriers like, no, this has to be done in 1 minute, 2 minute, 1 hour, 2 hour. It takes a little time, but yeah, once when it comes, I think it blooms like a flower.
Yeah, it's correct. We always look for the best that comes, despite it taking a bit of. Obviously, the best always takes a night. As people say, Paris was not made in one night. So the best
True.
always takes time to come out. It's not like you hurry up and you get. And Mr. Pranav, so we have been discussing about our team, how we have collaborated together. But then you also had your own team participating last year. So, what was your experience, and what would you like to give our audience, like some recommendation? To take up the future participants, like what should they focus on? uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, as you know, when I participated in F1 schools, I think I covered a lot of these points. Um, One of the key factors when you choose your members, and I think what you've rightly done, Ayush, is you choose people who are chill, um, or people who you can work with very nicely, you know, um, because as I mentioned before, that really does increase your productivity, and that will um, sort of dissipate all um, arguments or whatever other opinions, um, opposing opinions. So choosing your members wisely is very important. Um, Working on time, manage your deadlines. That's also very important, very very important. And um, most importantly, have fun while you're doing it. Because otherwise, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it with passion. You're not probably going to expect or uh, win or lose, it's you've gained something in this competition. That's very important. You've gained the technical skills. More so, you've gained communication. You've gained teamwork. You've gained a lot of skills. As a team manager, you're learning how to collaborate with people, how to make everyone work, how to distribute tasks. As the technical person, you're going to learn a lot of stuff about CFD and a lot of CAD, which is very exciting, which is one of the things I did that was exciting for me, and is also giving me an opportunity to focus on my career. Uh, so that's very important as well. It's a lot of stuff. As financial manager, you're going to learn how to talk to people, how to associate or distribute your funds, manage your funds properly. Uh, as you know, as marketing manager, socials are very important. You got to keep updating, keep people in the know of what's happening, be very engaging with your audience. I think that will also uh, help you reach out. And like Sanket said, your brand will also do the work already. If it's very nice and you look like you put some work into it, so it will definitely do good for sure. Yeah. Most importantly, like I said, have fun. Win or lose, you've gained something. You've already gained something. You will love it, whether you win or lose. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. So before we go towards the conclusion, we have an audience question. So from the Genesis team from our school, so they had asked, how should one proceed with verbal presentation? So Adnan, would you like to take up that question?
Yeah, absolutely. So the verbal presentation is also a very key part of the FNL Schools competition. And the best way to do this is in two ways. One, have a good PPT, and two, maintain as much confidence as possible. When you're speaking with confidence, the judges feel like you actually have a grasp on the subject and that you know what you're doing. You have done very well with the car compared to one speaking without any confidence. So Speaking with confidence and authority is one of the best things you can do in the verbal presentation. Then, obviously, structuring your talk beforehand. So, figuring out what you're going to talk about. Suppose you're talking about the design process of the car, how much time you're talking about the design process of the car. So you should be kind of structuring your talk in such a way that you're assigning times to each subject you're talking about. So that is also a very another very important thing you should be doing when giving the verbal presentation.
Thank you, Adnan. So, moving on towards the conclusion of the event, I would first of all like to thank our panelists. First, Mr. Sanket. He's a very busy person. He's right now amongst his masters. Such a late night. It's 9 in India, and still right now it will be even cross 10 in India, and still he's along with us here. That's really very helpful. He has been helping us a lot throughout the process, and he's always there with us. So I would like to thank you so much. I would like to extend my gratitude to you. Then, my friend Pranav. So he has board exams coming up, 12th boards, and yet he's among with us, part of this event with all his hassle and his own work deadlines as well. He's joined us, so thank you very much. Then I would also like to thank my team members for joining this late in the night, 8:39 here, and preparing for examinations for next week. And also at the last but not the least, I would like to thank TNB and Mr. Ravi sir for providing us this platform. So from bottom of my heart, thanks to TNB for providing such a lovely platform for all the young generation to learn about, and also to have such an engaging conversation to educate the future and also to increase our knowledge. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, guys, and all the best.
Thanks a lot,
Yeah,
Ayush,
thank
for
you so
inviting
much.
us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.